Today is going to be another taste test video with Taro, who has chronic kidney disease and who is not this guy. So Taro is going to try these new wet foods because he's just been sort of going off his usual one, but I think it's just because he's having a lot of the same thing. So in our last wet food taste test video, he chose the Royal Canin. I think his favourite was chicken flavour. So that's what I've been buying for him since then, but to mix it up for him, I'm trying out some of these different ones. So I just ordered a bunch of different things off of Zooplus. We've got 4 brands to try and 8 flavours. We did also do this Hills one in the other video, so this is the Hills with salmon, but I thought I'd give it another try because there's nothing wrong with it, and just to see if he wanted to mix it up a bit. He didn't dislike it in the last trial. So each of these foods go on the same basic principles that they're renal diets, because they have much lower phosphorus content and lower protein content, but higher quality protein, so smaller amounts of higher quality proteins. So we've got a mix pack by Beefa, which I really like because it gives you a lot of different flavours to taste test. And we've got one by Katavit in the tins, which is chicken flavour. We've got the Purina salmon, and then we've got the Hills salmon as well. Some of the foods, brand-wise, have a better reputation, I would say, than others in terms of just producing quality foods. But basically, I'm working on the ethos that if he's eating basically nothing of a better food, that's not going to be as good as if he's going to eat a suitable amount of an also approved kidney diet that just may be from a brand that perhaps wouldn't have been my first choice, like a cheaper brand or something like that. But yeah, it's better for him to have any renal support wet food than to start refusing it. I'm going to start by testing the Purina, just because there's 10 in a box, so there's more of them to get through, so we'll see what he thinks. Here we've got the Purina pouches. It's not for you, I don't know why you're actually here. Oh god. I can feel in the pouch that this is actually chunks. Taro's not the biggest fan of foods that are chunks. He would probably prefer something that's more like a pate or a mousse, simply because I have to, with his existing one anyway, mash up everything with a fork. Otherwise he just drinks the sauce and then leaves the bits, don't you? He does also wear a do not feed collar, so that the neighbours don't feed him and give him the wrong diet for him. I'm gonna give it to him unmashed at first, just because if he does really like it and eat the whole thing, then that's gonna make my life a lot easier if I can just chuck it in the bowl for him. So let's try that. I don't know whether he's going to leave those chunks or eat them, but obviously he doesn't like it unmashed, so I am going to have to mash this one as well. So I'll give it a go that way. Okay, so here it is mashed up. I will say that it has more sauce in it than the Royal Canin, so it's easier to mash it. So he's leaving a bit of it. I wouldn't say it's a terrible result, but he has left a bit, so we'll see how the other ones go. So we've tried the Purina, and now we're going to try the Hills. And this one is chunks again, so I'm going to mash these all up for him. What is that? Look. That is not from my bowl. Just saying, Hills. What is that bit of green plastic doing in my cat food? Let's see what he thinks to that. So he's actually left quite a bit of this. Sometimes if you like stir it back up for him, he starts eating it again. Okay. You don't have anything wrong with your kidneys. You can't have it. So today we're trying the Katavit chicken flavour tins. These are also available in lamb, but I've not fed the cats lamb ever, I don't think, so I thought at least I know they will probably eat, oh well, Taro will probably eat the chicken flavour. This one, as you can see, is more of like a pate, so it's a lot easier than mashing up like chunks that are in the sauce. However, because there's no sauce in it, it looks like a little bit drier. It's still like a moist food, obviously, but we'll see what he thinks of this. He seems to be more enthusiastic about it. We'll see if he finishes it. So there is a bit left over, but not as much as he left with the other ones. I did end up adding a bit of warm water to it though, because I think he was just sort of pressing it down with his mouth instead of eating it when it was a bit drier and firmer. So he preferred it with a little bit of water mixed in. And lastly, out of the brands we've got to try, we're going to go for the Beefa one, and this is the taurine instead of the flavoured one, so I think it's like the most plain one, but we'll see how this goes down. This one is a pate, but it seems to have a bit more moisture to it, so I'll still mash it down, but I definitely prefer the pates, to the sauces with the chunks in, because the pates are so much easier to mash up for them. Again, I've just had to put a little bit of warm water in this one, just because he was leaving the bits at the end. So he has left some of that again. It may just be that I'm giving him too big of a portion size, but overall I would say that he did like this one, so that is going to be one of the best performing ones I think that we've tried. I think the Beefa one might be my top rated, and we've still got the other flavours to try, but if I do end up reviewing the footage and choosing a different one, then I will let you know. As I say, even if they're eating a good amount of maybe a less popular brand, it's still going to work out better for them than if they're eating, like just picking at one of the better brands. So I'm happy to go with sort of whatever he will eat that's going to be in his best interests. So now that some time has passed that Taro has been trying all of the new kidney foods that we reviewed, I'm going to show you what I do to make them actually all immediately more palatable for him. So today we're using the Katavit, but this works with all of the foods, but with the least extent with the hills. So the hills really is not his preference. The hills really is not his preference, but this definitely works with the Katavit, the Beefa, and the Purina. But basically, instead of just sort of chopping it up for them or giving it to them out of the sachet, this is what I do now every day, and it does guarantee me that he will eat the entire meal. So obviously this one will need cutting up to some extent, but what I do is I just really mash. You just mash it really well, like into a paste. And then I'm gonna add a very small amount, just little by little, of hot water. It's hot because this food has been in the fridge. So for the end result, we sort of want it to be warm. Because when you warm any of the foods, it just releases more smell and makes it more palatable to them. Because with cats, the smell of a food is going to be one of the primary elements that determines whether or not they're going to want to eat it, because their sense of smell is actually stronger than the sense of taste. And warming it up just makes it generally more palatable for him. So this is a paste right now. I'm going to add even more. And because our cats with kidney disease tend to like a drink, I'm going to make this into a thick soup. And so that's going to mean that he's getting hydrated at the same time as actually eating a full meal and not just picking at it. So that's probably good, but you could add even more, and now that's warmed up and like a thick soup. I'm gonna give it to him. Why is your mouth open? I'm going to offer it to him here in the bedroom just so that he has some privacy away from the other little thief of food. So let's see. And you can see he's taking to that straight away and he's eating it very enthusiastically. And that is a pretty good result. That's about as good as it's going to get. So above all, I would recommend, if you've got a kidney food that's being rejected, simply try this. Warm it, mash it, dilute it, and make it into a thick soup. And this method has never failed for me and Taro, so that's, oh, you got some on your face. So hopefully that has helped.